The text message glowed on my phone screen like a digital slap. After your behavior at Thanksgiving, you're not welcome here anymore. Don't bother coming to Christmas dinner. Mom. I stared at it, sitting in my office on the 47th floor of downtown Seattle's most prestigious building. Below, the city sparkled in the December rain, oblivious to the family drama unfolding above. Thanksgiving had been the breaking point. After years of enduring their criticism about my career choices, my lifestyle, and my refusal to join the family real estate business, I'd finally snapped. Your father built this company from nothing, Mom had declared over turkey and tension. Harrison Real Estate is your legacy, Isabella. But instead, you waste your time with that ridiculous investment firm of yours. It's not ridiculous, I defended for what felt like the 1000th time. Anderson Holdings is doing well. My brother James had snorted into his wine glass. Doing well? You live in that tiny apartment downtown. Drive a used car. Meanwhile, I'm closing million-dollar deals every week at Harrison Real Estate. Not everyone needs to show off their success, I'd said quietly. What success? Dad interjected. Face it, Isabella, your little investment experiment has failed. It's time to grow up and join the family business. That's when I dropped my bombshell. Actually, I sold my apartment last month. And my little experiment just closed a rather significant deal. Oh. Mom's voice had dripped with condescension. Finally admitting defeat? Not exactly. I'd stood up, my chair scraping against their expensive hardwood floors. But you'll find out soon enough. Now, a week later they had banned me from Christmas dinner. If they only knew what was coming. My intercom buzzed. Ms. Anderson? The paperwork from Pacific Northwest Bank is ready for your signature. Send it in, Carol. My assistant entered with a thick folder. Inside were the documents I'd been orchestrating for months. The purchase of my family's mortgage company's debt portfolio, including the loans on Harrison Real Estate's headquarters and my parents' sprawling mansion. Pacific Northwest Bank had been eager to sell after my firm's aggressive acquisition spree had given us controlling interest. They never questioned why Anderson Holdings was particularly interested in this specific portfolio. My phone buzzed again, another text from Mom. Your sister's bringing her new fiancé to Christmas. Not that it matters to you anymore. I signed the final paper with a flourish. Carol, make sure these are processed immediately. And have our legal team prepare the transfer notices. Yes, Ms. Anderson. Should we use the standard letterhead? I smiled, thinking of my family's reaction when they realized who now held their mortgages. No. Use the full corporate letterhead. I want them to know exactly who they're dealing with. The next few days passed in a blur of meetings and year-end acquisitions. Anderson Holdings had grown exponentially over the past 5 years, though I'd kept my role as CEO carefully hidden from my family. As far as they knew, I was still struggling with a small investment firm. They had no idea I now controlled one of the largest private equity firms on the West Coast. On Christmas Eve, while my family gathered for their annual dinner without me, Pacific Northwest Bank's system automatically generated their notices. Your mortgage has been transferred to Anderson Holdings effective immediately. I imagined the scene. Dad checking his phone during dinner, Mom fussing over my sister's fiancé, James bragging about his latest real estate conquest. Then the notification that would shatter their perfect family tableau. It took exactly 27 minutes for my father's name to flash on my phone. I declined the call. 10 minutes later Mom tried. Declined. James sent a barrage of texts. What the hell is going on? Anderson Holdings? Isn't that your company? Dad's having a meltdown. I turned my phone on silent and walked to my office window. Across the city I could see my family's company headquarters, a building they thought they owned, but now, like everything else, was effectively mine. Carol appeared at my door. Your family's here. In the lobby. I checked the security feed. There they were, Dad in his expensive suit, Mom clutching her designer handbag, James pacing frantically. All looking very out of place among the modern minimalist decor of Anderson Holdings headquarters. They're demanding to see the CEO, Carol continued. Security doesn't know what to do. I straightened my jacket, smoothing down my silk blouse. Tell security to send them up. It's time for a different kind of family dinner. The elevator ride to the 47th floor must have felt eternal for my family. I watched them on the security feed, huddled together, their usual confidence replaced by nervous energy. Mom kept checking her makeup in her compact mirror, a stress habit from her pageant days. Dad repeatedly straightened his tie, while James couldn't stop fidgeting with his Rolex. I instructed Carol to keep them waiting in the reception area for exactly 15 minutes, just long enough for the floor-to-ceiling windows to reveal the breathtaking view of their company headquarters below, now effectively under my control. Your tiny investment firm seems to have upgraded, James muttered sarcastically as I finally emerged from my office. Welcome to Anderson Holdings, I said coolly. I believe you received some interesting notices this evening? What is the meaning of this? Dad demanded, waving his phone with the mortgage transfer notification. How dare you? How dare I what? I interrupted. Make a sound business investment? Isn't that what you always wanted me to do? Mom stepped forward, trying to take control of the situation. Isabella, darling, surely we can discuss this like family. Family. I laughed, the sound echoing through the modern space. You mean the family that banned me from Christmas dinner? The family that spent years mocking my career choices? That family. We were trying to help you, Dad insisted. Harrison Real Estate is a legacy. A legacy built on loans, I cut in. Loans that I now own. Along with every other piece of commercial paper your company holds. Interesting how overleveraged your books are, Dad. Almost as if you never expected anyone to look too closely. James's face paled. What are you talking about? Did Dad never tell you about the creative accounting? The way he's been shifting debt between subsidiaries to keep the appearance of growth. I pulled up some figures on my tablet. Harrison Real Estate looks impressive on paper, but it's built on sand. And now I own the shovel. You wouldn't dare, Dad whispered. We're your family. Like you said at Thanksgiving, it's time to grow up and join the family business. I smiled thinly. I'm just doing it my way. Carol appeared with a stack of folders. The complete audit reports you requested, Ms. Anderson. And Tokyo is on line 2 regarding the Pacific Rim expansion. Pacific Rim expansion? James sputtered. Just how big is Anderson Holdings? I gestured around the office. Look out the window, little brother. See those 5 buildings with the blue glass? We own them. The tech campus on the east side? Ours. That new development project by the waterfront? Just closed last week. Mom sank into one of the reception chairs, her perfectly maintained facade cracking. All this time, while we thought you were struggling. You never asked, I said simply. Too busy celebrating James's million-dollar deals to notice I was closing billion-dollar ones. What do you want? Dad's voice was tight with suppressed rage. I walked to my office door, then turned back. I want you to understand what real success looks like. I want you to realize that your daughter, the one you dismissed and disparaged, now controls your financial future. And Harrison Real Estate? James asked quietly. The audit team arrives tomorrow. Every loan, every transaction, every creative accounting trick will be examined. If everything's clean. I shrugged. But we both know it's not, don't we, Dad? The color drained from his face. Isabella, please. We can work something out. Like you worked things out with the Jensen property? Or the Riverside development? I watched him flinch at each mention. Did you think I wouldn't find out about those deals? What deals? James turned to Dad. What is she talking about? Nothing, Dad said quickly. Too quickly. Show him, I commanded Carol, who handed James another folder. His hands shook as he read. Dad. These numbers. This can't be right. Oh, it's right, I confirmed. Every questionable deal, every manipulated appraisal, every hidden liability. I've spent 5 years quietly gathering evidence while building my own empire. The same 5 years you spent mocking my ridiculous investment firm. Mom stood up, her socialite training kicking in. Surely we can discuss this privately as a family. Like you privately decided to ban me from Christmas? I pressed a button and the elevator doors opened. The audit team arrives at 9 a.m. tomorrow. I suggest you spend tonight getting your stories straight. You'd destroy your own family's company? Dad demanded. No, Dad. You did that yourself. I'm just the one who caught you. I turned to Carol. Please show them out. And make sure they understand their building access has been revoked. As they were led to the elevator, James lingered behind. Izzy. I didn't know. About Dad's deals, about your success. Any of it. Would it have mattered? I asked. Would you have stopped your smug little comments about my used car and small apartment? He looked around the vast office space, finally seeing his sister clearly. You didn't need to hide your success. I didn't hide it, I corrected him. I just didn't flaunt it. There's a difference. The elevator doors closed on my family's shocked faces. I returned to my office, where the city lights twinkled like Christmas decorations. My phone buzzed, a message from Mom. Please, can we talk about this? I smiled, thinking of all the family dinners I'd endured, all the condescending comments and dismissive attitudes. Merry Christmas, I texted back. The audit team has some questions about Dad's Cayman Islands accounts. Hope he has answers. The next morning, Christmas Day, dawned with a flurry of activity. While families across Seattle were opening presents, a team of forensic accountants descended on Harrison Real Estate's headquarters. I watched from my office as my father and James arrived early, looking haggard in yesterday's suits. My phone had been flooded with messages all night. Mom, please, it's Christmas. We can work this out. Dad, you're making a terrible mistake. James, the auditors are here. Dad's locked himself in his office. Various relatives, how could you do this to your family? I ignored them all, focusing instead on the detailed reports flowing in from the audit team. Each new discovery confirmed what I'd known for years. Harrison Real Estate was a house of cards, built on manipulated numbers and hidden debts. At noon, Carol brought in a particularly interesting file. Ms. Anderson, they found something in the offshore accounts. I reviewed the documents, a cold smile spreading across my face. Call legal. It's time for phase 2. By 3 p.m., the preliminary audit findings were clear enough to initiate my next move. I had Carol summon my family to the conference room, not my office. This needed to be official, impersonal, devastating. They arrived looking shell-shocked. Dad's perfectly groomed appearance had crumbled, his tie loose, hair disheveled. Mom's mascara showed traces of tears. James just looked lost. Sit, I commanded, not looking up from the audit reports. We need to discuss the future of Harrison Real Estate. Isabella, Mom started, but I held up my hand. Ms. Anderson, please. This is a business meeting. Dad leaned forward. You've made your point. Whatever you want, board positions, profit sharing, full partnership. Partnership? I laughed. And what? A company built on fraudulent loans and hidden debts? Let's review what our audit team found, shall we? I projected the findings onto the conference room screen. Falsified appraisals on the Riverside development. Inflated revenue reports on the Jensen property. Hidden accounts in the Caymans, Bermuda, and Singapore. Shell companies created to hide losses. Should I continue? Those are standard industry practices, Dad protested weakly. No, they're federal crimes. I switched to the next slide. The SEC would be very interested in these findings. As would the FBI's Financial Crimes Unit. Mom gasped. You wouldn't. Actually, I already have. I checked my watch. The official investigation begins tomorrow. Merry Christmas. James stood up so abruptly his chair toppled over. You're sending Dad to prison? Dad sent himself to prison, I corrected. I'm just making sure he faces the consequences. Please, Mom whispered, he's your father. Really? Because last week I wasn't even welcome at Christmas dinner. Amazing how family ties matter when you need something. Carol entered with another stack of documents. The SEC paperwork is ready, Ms. Anderson. And Mr. Harrison's office has been sealed as requested. Dad slumped in his chair, decades of arrogance draining away. What do you want? What I've always wanted: recognition. Respect. Acknowledgement that your daughter isn't the failure you claimed she was. I spread out a new set of papers. But since those seem impossible, I'll settle for your resignation and full control of Harrison Real Estate. You're destroying everything I built, he shouted. No, I'm saving what's left of it. Under Anderson Holdings management, with legitimate business practices and transparent accounting. I pointed to the documents. Sign and I'll handle the SEC investigation internally. Refuse and I release everything to the authorities. His hand shook as he reached for the pen. I never thought you'd be capable of this. You never thought I was capable of anything, I corrected. That was your biggest mistake. As he signed away his company, I thought about the little girl who used to follow him around his office, desperate for approval. The teenager who graduated top of her class, only to be told it wasn't good enough. The young woman who built an empire while her family mocked her choices. James, I turned to my brother, you have a choice. Stay with Harrison Real Estate under Anderson Holdings management, or clear out your office by tomorrow. He studied me for a long moment. You planned this for years, didn't you? Ever since Dad rejected my business proposal fresh out of college. Told me I'd never understand real estate. I smiled. Turns out I understand it better than he does. If I stay. He hesitated. You'll report to my team, learn legitimate business practices and earn your position based on merit, not family name. Mom dabbed at her eyes with an expensive handkerchief. Us. Our home. The mansion's mortgage is now held by Anderson Holdings. You can stay as tenants. The rent will be market rate, of course. We can't afford market rate, she whispered. Should have thought about that before banning me from Christmas dinner. I stood up. Carol will show you out. Dad, the SEC will contact you tomorrow. I suggest getting a good lawyer. As they filed out, James lingered again. That apartment downtown, the used car. It was all for show, wasn't it? I own the building actually. And the car is a classic Porsche. I just never bothered to mention that part. He shook his head. All these years we thought. You thought what you wanted to think. None of you ever asked about my success because you were too convinced of my failure. After they left, I returned to my office. The city was dark now, Christmas lights twinkling in windows across Seattle. Below, I could see my family leaving the building. Dad looking older than I'd ever seen him, Mom clinging to his arm, James walking slightly apart. My phone buzzed one last time, a text from Mom. The family's having dinner at Romano's tonight. Your sister's bringing her fiancé. Please come. I smiled, remembering all the times they'd excluded me, dismissed me, underestimated me. Can't make it, I texted back. Have to finish some paperwork on my new real estate acquisition. Turning back to my desk, I began signing the documents that would officially dissolve Harrison Real Estate and absorb its assets into Anderson Holdings. By morning, my father's legacy would be nothing but a footnote in my company's history. Carol appeared with champagne. Congratulations on the acquisition, Ms. Anderson. Though, if I may ask, why wait until Christmas? I took the glass, thinking of that text message banning me from family dinner. Because sometimes the best presents are the ones you give yourself. As night fell over Seattle, I raised my glass to the empire I'd built, the family I'd humbled, and the sweet taste of success served cold on Christmas Day. Merry Christmas to me, I whispered and got back to work.